Welcome to ComSpark. Today we are in Cincinnati, Ohio. My name is Michael Sutter. I will be your guest host today. I would like to welcome our guest, Ed Carroll, who's the CIO at Dinsmore Shohl. Thanks for being here today, and I just wanted to sort of go over some questions. What challenges are you most concerned with about the IT field?
I think right now the biggest challenge is talent and being able to fill all the open positions in IT. I think a city the size of Cincinnati has to figure out a way to attract new talent and to keep the talent that they have here.
Got it. How do you go about finding talent?
Well, I think you do that through getting more aggressive with diversity initiatives. I think there's an untapped pool of talent out there that could be filled with diversity and better representation of women.
Okay, thank you. In your opinion, what is the most overlooked area in the information security?
I think information governance is something that's still relatively new. The whole idea behind information governance and understanding your data and knowing where it is and what it is, instead of just protecting the perimeter, which is the traditional security. Knowing what that data is, protecting it, and keeping it within your environment is extremely important.
Do you find a company like yours is in the same boat as everybody else, or?
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. We have a lot of client data, we have a lot of our own data. All of it needs to be protected appropriately. But first we need to know where it is and how to protect it.
Got it. Thank you. With an increased focus on core business functions, some traditional IT priorities such as user support, help support, network administration, and messaging have migrated to the external third parties. Has this been the case at your company?
It has. We have an outsourced help desk. We do that for a couple of reasons. We find that it's cheaper, and I think it's a good idea to let companies that specialize in those things handle that for you. It just becomes cost prohibitive if you want to provide, the 24/7 service that our users require to do that in-house. It would require a big staff 24/7.
Got it. Thank you for that information. How do you decide what functions are good candidates for outsourcing?
I think a lot of it is based on cost. A lot of it is based on the cost of the individuals that you would have to hire to do it as well. Technology is so specialized now, and a lot of the salaries are pretty huge anymore for that specialized talent. So it's really a cost function to me more than anything else.
Okay, so cost is important to you.
Yes.
Got it. How do you go about educating them as far as help desk support?
Well, you're relying on the company that you're engaging with too. You want them to have a competency in the vertical that you're in the business that you're in. So we're a law firm.
Right.
So what we're going to look for is an outsourced company that has dealt with law firms before. The technology across law firms is pretty standard. So if they're servicing other law firms, chances are the same software stack will be supported by them for other firms as well as us.
Okay, got it. So Ed, what advice do you have for a company facing a new set of compliance protocols?
Hire a good consultant that has expertise there. It's not likely that you have somebody in-house that understands GDPR the way it needs to be understood, or the new California privacy laws that are going to be coming out. So really, it's worth the time, the effort, and the money to hire somebody that has that expertise in just that competency.
Is that local?
When possible. I like to hire local if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not possible. You have to go outside of the local area.
Are you guys just in Cincinnati?
No, we have 26 offices.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're from California to Washington, D.C.
Okay. So it all ties into GDPR, PCI, ISO standards?
Yeah,
Okay.
again, so we're going through ISO certification this year. What we did is we engaged somebody that has worked with many other law firms to attain that certification. Not a local resource, but we certainly had to find somebody that understands our environment, understands the law firm culture, what the challenges will be there.
Are all law firms ISO certified?
No, not all.
They're
No.
not?
Mm-mm,
Why'd
no.
you guys?
Well, I think first of all, it's going to enforce the standards that we need to protect the data and everything. Also, I think our clients will get some comfort knowing that we have that certification and that we do take security seriously.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through that today, huh?
Everybody. Yep, everybody.
Makes it more challenging, huh?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, okay. So, how would you describe your organization's cloud strategy?
I would call it cloud appropriate. So I think anytime we look at any new technology, we want to know if there's an on-premise version, and we want to know if there's a cloud version of that. And then we look at that technology, find what works best for us, and make our choice that way. We are not cloud first. We don't avoid the cloud. It's based on the technology that we're trying to install and what the best decision is there.
Okay.
I think if I can access it in the cloud, I'll do that if it makes sense. But what's the total cost of ownership of cloud technology? I think a lot of people get lured into a false sense of security, thinking that it's going to be cheaper. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, it might not be. But you also have to think: do I have to staff up to support the technology if I do it on premise? So there's a lot of factors that go into the decision whether to do on-premise or go to the cloud. For us, we have to look at those individually and make the best decision for our business and the supportability of the technology.
It's a big challenge, isn't it?
It is. It is, because everybody wants to move to the cloud. It's really such a buzzword, and there is practical application to it too. Mm-hmm. The cloud is a great option for many things, but is your data going to be secure? Yeah. What are the SLAs that could be in place? Mm-hmm. Do you have strong SLAs that will dictate how you're supported throughout the life of the contract? What happens to the data if you cancel the contract? Mm-hmm. All of those are things that have to be considered. We're becoming brokers of services, IT departments in a lot of respects, where we may not be providing as much on-premise technology today as we used to, but we have to broker those contracts and make sure that all our bases are covered before entering into them.
Is there a lot of training involved in that and teaching cloud technology to your organization?
No, I think users love it because it's often it's just a website, and people are very comfortable with logging into websites these days and accessing technology that way. There's a lot of education involved to company management to explain the differences in the costs.
Okay, got it. So leading into that, how is cybersecurity communicated in your enterprise?
Well, we're pretty aggressive with it. We require, it's mandatory annual training. We require all personnel, regardless of position, to attend the training. It's an online training. And we send frequent bulletins to the firm, to all personnel in the firm, mm-hmm. About things that they should be concerned with, not only at work but at home. People that are using their technology at home need to understand that it's important for them to protect themselves, not just for their own personal safety, but for the firm as well, because everyone's so well connected these days back to their place of work. That could present a lot of big problems.
How do you protect those people at home then to be able to be protected?
Well, it's based a lot on the method of accessing the network. We use VPN, we use remote access servers, so we keep the data in our data center. Okay. Is what we do.
Okay. New technology capabilities are surfacing all the time, and the pace is, if anything, accelerating. Should a business strive to be on the forefront, adopting these technologies to gain competitive advantage?
I think it depends on the business. I think oftentimes, you don't need to be on the leading edge. You just need to stay current. And with the rate of change moving so fast, staying current requires a lot of work. But how much change can your culture handle is a question that you have to ask yourself. If you're constantly changing the way you do things and the tools that you use, it might create a little frustration with your users. But if there is an advantage to implementing a certain technology, then I think you need to do that if it drives the business.
So you're saying that also can change employee morale too, right? By making that many changes.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, people have some fatigue when it comes to technology these days.
Got it.
So you have to be careful about how often you're changing things on people.
Okay, got it. Hey Ed, thanks for being on the program today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Ed today for joining us. And for those listening to the interview, to learn more, go to ComSpark.tech.